still love, and I ain't got no
I got the fire flow. Shorty getting down, going up the fire pole. Radical in the mitten where we mad co.
Welcome to someone's favorite movie. I'm coming to you from the Pod Shack outside beautiful Flint, Michigan, USA. My name is Randy, and with me is the man they call Tomko. What's up, sir?
My heart is filled with love for the season, sir.
Is it really?
It is.
Did you buy
it's the most romantic time of the year, isn't it?
Did you buy a bunch of those little hard candies that break your teeth that say "Be mine" and taste like chalk?
No, I'm more of a chocolate person, sir.
Okay, as well you should be. I think the 1 year those candies were out of production, or the company that made them folded or something. And
let me guess, there was an uproar over it, wasn't there?
There was a mild kerfuffle, I believe. Yeah, like how can I properly express my love if I don't have a candy to do it for me?
Who the hell eats those? They're like depressed sweet tarts.
They are depressed sweet tarts. True. However, for a certain generation, they were the memes of that generation. Like, people today can't say anything if it's not a picture with an ironic slogan on it. Back then, all you had was candy with funny sayings and XOs on them. So that's how you had to express yourself back in 1954.
Oh, Grandma. What were you thinking?
She was thinking she received a hard candy that broke her top molar that said, "I love you." So it had to have been, right?
And Grandpa was thinking, well, at least she can't say no now.
She can't. She already consumed the candy.
Well, she's got a mouthful of broken teeth and blood. She can't talk.
Yeah, and admittedly, you can't tell which is broken tooth and which is broken candy, so.
Wow, Grandpa. Me too.
Oh, it got topical. Uh-oh.
Oh, we're in trouble for that one.
We're getting canceled. I'm getting all sweaty. Oh, boy. We are covering, this week, My Bloody Valentine. We're not covering the song My Bloody Valentine. Isn't there a song or something? I don't know.
I don't know if there's a song.
There's
definitely a band.
There's a band. Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? My Funny Valentine. That's a song.
Oh, yeah, that is.
But not a horror movie. What a world.
So, was this your first time? Have you watched this movie prior to this?
No, this would have been the very first time I've seen My Bloody Valentine. I had heard of it. I was aware of the remake, which, again, I watched because I'm a glutton for punishment. Whenever we do these, we always cover the original. I somehow am... God damn it, I just can't help myself. I have to watch the remake. And I don't know why I do it. I don't know why. I know that the remake's not going to be any better. It never is. It never will be. But I do it anyways. For you, the listeners. I love you. You're welcome. Send me $1. Thank you. But no, this was the first time I've seen this.
I saw it, I want to say, back when I first got my house back in the spring of 2007. Ironically enough, it was a double feature of this and the first Silent Night, Deadly Night, now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh, wow.
And I completely forgot everything about those movies until this podcast came into my life.
Which is fun, because I feel like there's a kill in this movie that rivals that of Silent Night, Deadly Night.
They are very reminiscent of each other, absolutely.
Yeah, and I feel like it's the signature of both movies.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement.
So My Bloody Valentine is one of those pesky slashers. I mean, they were so popular in the 80s. Kind of tried to come back in the 90s. Failed in the 2000s. All we could care about then was sparkly vampires and zombies for some reason. And then superheroes came. Will the slasher ever return?
Oh, I'm sure it will.
Of course it
I mean,
will.
everything in Hollywood is cyclical.
Yes, it is. So I watched My Bloody Valentine, this original movie here,
Mhm.
and I could not believe immediately after watching it that there was never a sequel to this.
They kind of set it up for it, didn't they?
I mean, it's basically a working class version of Friday the 13th. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It was in a decade that was crazy for their slashers, and it neatly set up a potential sequel, and yet none was ever made.
Yeah. Now, how successful was this movie?
Oh boy, I don't know. You want me to look up box office numbers?
I'm curious. The other thing that really kind of struck me about this movie, I didn't do any research on this, but I'm just guessing that this is a Canadian movie.
Based on all the Moosehead promotion all over the place?
The Moosehead,
Yeah.
the pronunciation of the letter O, and all that beautiful flannel.
There was a ton of beautiful flannel. And also, TJ, one of the main characters, he got progressively more and more Canadian as the movie went on. I felt like his accent started getting tinged with a maple leaf or something, and he just got more and more Canadian. His accent started bleeding through the longer the movie went on.
Good for you, TJ. We're your maple leaf loud and proud.
Well, the budget for the movie was $2.3 million. The box office was $5.7 million.
Okay, so it turned a nice little profit. I mean, plus the producers, if this was a Canadian movie, had to have sold it to at least Paramount, which then I'm assuming distributed it to a large amount of other territories. So they had to have made enough money to at least think about a profit, you'd think, or think about a sequel.
Yeah, I would think so. And despite what you may think about this movie, I think it's impressive what they accomplished based on the fact that it was essentially a rush job. They only had like 6 months to write, produce, scout locations, and actually film and edit the thing. They were still, I think they started filming in November or something. It was in the fall. It wasn't November, but they had to rush it, do a rush job so that it could be in theaters by Valentine's Day.
I mean, it does kind of show, but this is one of those movies that I think deserves to be graded on a curve. Does that make any sense? Because, I mean, it wasn't a hugely controversial movie, so it didn't have any hype to live up to. It didn't spend a lot of money, so it didn't have to live up to that kind of expectation. And I didn't go into it expecting anything groundbreaking or original. I just expected dumb teens having sex, getting killed, running from a guy in a mask.
Yeah, and that's what it was, for the most part.
So, I mean, at least the way I was judging it, I walked away fairly satisfied based on what I was expecting.
However, you're wrong in one aspect because it was a controversial movie.
Really?
Oh, it was. So the version we watched, if you didn't notice, Tomko, there were certain scenes that didn't quite have the same quality to them.
Yes, the lighting it felt almost like it was differently lit, and there was a lot of graininess with these.
Those scenes were never in the theatrical cut of the movie. They were all cut out. Most of the gore in the movie that you see in the movie was cut out. And so the scenes that you see with the weird lighting and the grainy stuff were inserted for the special edition 20 years after the fact.
I was wondering.
So when this movie was first given to the MPAA, they said get rid of the gore or else you're getting an X rating.
Wow, that's actually kind of old timey, considering some of the stuff that you see these days in
Yeah,
movies like Hostel or just about anything that Eli Roth puts his name on.
there are some impressive kills in this movie. The scene where the bartender gets the pickaxe through the neck and up through the eye, makes his eye pop
Hmm.
out. Kind of love that. They try to recreate that in the remake, and I tell you what, with CGI, it looked like shit.
I believe that. I mean, I'm a sucker for practical effects.
That's where it's at. The director of the movie, George Mihalka, believes that the movie was heavily censored because John Lennon was shot fairly recently to the time that this would have been submitted to the ratings board. And also, there was a lawsuit going around from a mother whose son went out committing crimes, and she blamed the crime committing on the violence in slasher movies. So he
I could
thinks,
see that maybe being an argument, even though I wouldn't agree with it. But I wonder if the public was really sensitive to violence in the wake of John Lennon's murder.
yeah, that seemed like a stretch to me as well. And in the interview I read, he specifically brought that up, and he thought that was why. And the interviewer brought up a movie starring Lauren Bacall, who was one of John Lennon's neighbors, apparently. She stars in a movie called The Fan, which is about a fan that tries to kill her. And that movie was released like a year or two later. So she didn't seem to, it didn't bother her whatsoever. So, and the ratings board didn't really give a shit about it either. So I don't know.
Well, I think it might have been the audiences that the two movies were marketing toward, because slasher movies traditionally go after a teenage audience. I don't see Lauren Bacall really appealing to that audience if they even knew who she was at the time.
Valid point. I can't imagine watching this movie without all the gore scenes in them.
Yeah, I'd imagine it would just feel very I don't know if schizophrenic is the right word, but it would just feel choppy.
Yeah, very choppy. I think so too. There's a lot of good scenes and shots that were cut, and that would have been a shame to see this movie and, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the one that sticks out for me was the girl who is impaled on, what was that, a shower head?
Yes, that's the signature kill that I was referring to. That reminds me of the when Billy impaled the Linnea Quigley on the deer antlers.
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about the very beginning of the movie where the girl was impaled on the pickaxe and you actually see it kind of starting to poke through her skin, but not quite making it out.
Oh, I got it. No, I was thinking of the showerhead scene where the corpses turn into a human showerhead.
I gotta admit, for what it was, I walked away kind of impressed.
Yeah. So it's a scene where the killer takes this girl. She's gonna have sex with this dude. He's run off to grab some beers because she wanted them, and she goes into the shower room, and he grabs her, and they didn't have any shower heads. The water just came out of pipes because it's a small mining town, and they're in a mine, or near a mine, anyways. And he takes her and shoves her head against the pipe, and the pipe sticks through her mouth, and water starts coming out as well as blood.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
Now, I think we both agree that the kill scenes, the practical effects were way better than at least better than I ever expected a 1981 low budget movie to be. What would you say about the rest of the movie as far as the writing, the acting, the directing, all that stuff?
Overall, I would say that this movie was a lot better than I expected. It was sort of like a Black Christmas, available in the archives situation for me, where I went into it expecting one thing and got another out of it. It's nowhere near as good, in my opinion, as Black Christmas, I don't think.
No.
However, this movie is one of Quentin Tarantino's favorite slashers for whatever reason. I was impressed by the amount of backstory and mythology they gave to the movie, which again, it's surprising to me there was never a sequel based on all the backstory and mythology. And I love the fact that the bartender Hap is the one that he plays the role of the resident doom prophet. And I don't know if this trope originated with this movie or not. Like the ominous brooding character that knows all the exposition and backstory and warns the other characters that they're all doomed. I don't know
this is kind of where I wish we had Justin from the Epic Film Guys.
Oh, he would absolutely know, right?
He would know, because I know that one of the Friday the 13th movies, if not two of them, had that character. And I think
you're right.
That character was in the original one.
Oh, I think you're right.
Later killed off in the second one. So I want to say they lifted that from Friday the 13th. Yeah,
you're right now that I think about it. Like, was he in the first one? Yeah, he had to have been, right?
I think he was.
Yeah. I watched Crystal Lake Memories, which is
it's a phenomenal documentary. I would recommend that and Never Sleep Again to anybody who is interested in 80s horror.
Yeah. Crystal Lake Memories is like 8 hours long, it seems like, but it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. I love it. But I love that character and the way he describes what happened. So it takes place in the town of Valentine Bluffs, the big town with a little heart. And so 20 years ago to the day, like on the night of the very last Valentine's Day dance that the town held, everyone was at the big event. This tradition spanned 100 years or so. Everyone was there except 7 miners in the Hanniger mine. 2 of them were supervisors that decided to cut loose out of there in a hurry to get to that dance, and they left without checking the methane levels in the mine. Predictably, an explosion happens, buries the 5 left down there alive for weeks while the town parties. So for 6 weeks, the crews tried to get these guys out of there. And when they broke through, only one man was left, and he had survived by becoming a cannibal. That was Harry Warden. He was sent to a mental institution until he broke out a year later on Valentine's Day. When he came back to kill the 2 supervisors that had left early, he wore a miner outfit, killed them with a pickaxe, cut out their hearts, left them in a heart-shaped candy box as a warning to never hold the dance again. If he was a WWF wrestler in the early 90s, that would be his gimmick. He'd walk to the ring with a box of heart-shaped candy.
Oh, man, now I want to see him face off against The Undertaker.
And that'd be the perfect match.
That would be, yeah.
So the legend goes every February 14th, he comes back to town with his bloody pickaxe and makes sure the people are heeding the warning and they're not holding this dance. So the bartender tells the kids to cancel that party because they might not live to see daylight. But naturally, if you tell young people they can't dance, they're going to rebel. They're going to find a way to dance.
Kevin Bacon proved that, sir.
Absolutely. Not partying is worse than death, bros. Moosehead forever. So that's the basic backstory. These kids are bound and determined to hold this dance. When the dance was being planned, all of a sudden murders start up. The mayor wants it canceled. They're like, hell no, we need to party. Which you can party on February 15th or February 13th. Why has it got to be the 14th?
Well, in all fairness, that is a Saturday.
It was a Saturday, especially in this movie. The calendar lines up.
It does. Now this is, I don't mean to nitpick it because it kind of feels like I'm punching down, but there were a lot of things in this movie that just kind of had me scratching my head.
Oh, do tell.
Well, right from the very beginning, the miners are clearing out of the shaft. They're filthy. They're covered in soot. And all of a sudden, one of them takes off their mask, and it's a beautiful woman who is absolutely clean. Just little stuff like that it doesn't make any sense. Or if they're so insistent on having this dance or party or get together, We know that they all hang out at a bar. Why not just have it there?
That was my thinking too. They're sitting in the bar, and the bartender is warning them not to have the party. Why don't you just hang out in the bar? Because apparently that's fine.
They've got a jukebox, so you can dance to that shit.
They got a shuffleboard. If that's not a party, I don't know what is.
Were you expecting a payoff to the lines about the methane? Because at the beginning of the movie, they were talking about the methane levels and how one of these days it's going to blow the mine to hell.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Huh. However, when they filmed the movie, the director said that the methane levels were a real problem. They could only use a certain wattage of light because they used a real mine, obviously. They could only use like a 25-watt light bulb, and they had to check the methane levels religiously in order to prevent a possible catastrophe.
Yeah, I could see where that would be of concern.
Yeah. So the director of the movie described the movie as the Deer Hunter of horror movies.
Yes. Yes, it definitely had a very, very similar vibe to the beginning of that movie.
Yeah. Because it was all about small town working class and not about horny teenagers getting killed, which I kind of disagree with.
Yeah.
They were horny 20-somethings. That's... and they were getting killed, so whatever. There was going to be social commentary about loss of work. It was the beginning of the Rust Belt in North America. People were losing their jobs left and right and center. To me, it was almost the revenge of the working class against uncaring and heartless management. The reason Harry Warden originally did what he did was not because of Valentine's Day, but because managers decided not to care about the safety of their workers.
I guess that's a valid point, but you'd figure that after the inciting incident 20 years ago, that management would have hired security around the entrance to the mine.
Yeah. The other thing he mentioned was the small town aspect, how small towns always tend to drag people back. He said the whole undertone with TJ is that he left and ends up coming back with his tail between his legs because he couldn't make it out west. He was a fish out of water there.
Yeah, I could see that happening. Hell, I've seen it happen.
Oh, yeah. Countless times.
Yeah.
My nitpick about the movie was right off the bat. We get that initial kill right off the bat. The killer is down there with the woman I believe you're referring to, who gets half naked. And you think they're going to have all the sex. And he impales her on a pickaxe that she had plunged into the rock right next to her. The guy just takes her, pushes her on there. So immediately, you know that Harry Warden cannot be the killer. Because this woman would not have went with some faceless man she's never seen before into the mine shaft.
That is an amazingly valid point. Yes, sir.
So the twist of the movie where Harry Warden isn't the actual killer and it's somebody else is immediately given away within the first 45 seconds of the movie. Because the whole time I'm thinking, how does the beginning of this movie fit in with the rest of this? Because the entire town is aware of the legend of Harry Warden. So if some weird dude in all miner outfit walks up to you, you're not going to try to bang him in the mining shaft.
Well, maybe. I mean, you had those ladies that sent proposals of marriage to Ted Bundy.
I suppose. But in the context of the movie, it didn't make any sense.
No. I mean, there's a lot about this movie that doesn't make any sense. But again, you got to kind of grade it on a curve.
Yeah. Yeah, I pretty much gave that as, well, I know what that was. That was the initial shock to draw the audience, and that's all it was. It didn't have to make sense, I guess.
Now, they never really mentioned that first initial victim ever again, did they? Other than, well, this she was lost in the mine. We left her down there so that she would learn on her own. I mean, was she the only one that really wasn't mentioned ever again in this entire movie, victim-wise?
The only purpose her death served, as far as I could tell, was she was the one that provided the initial heart and the candy-shaped box.
Yeah.
That's about it. Yeah, no friends mourned her or anything, really. It's like she never
I
existed.
thought that was a little odd. The other thing that I thought was going to happen, I mean, I knew it was either going to be Axel or TJ. And for a while, I was actually kind of leaning toward TJ.
Yeah,
Because
as the
he
killer.
was the guy that had to come back to the town, tail tucked between legs, rather humiliated, having to work at a job he hated, having to eat shit from Axel. I honestly thought it was going to be him for a while.
Well, and he's jealous because Axel's with the girl that should have been his, that he completely left. And the girl that plays Sarah, Lori Hollier, I think she was the best actor in the entire bunch. I think she does a great job in this movie.
Oh, far and away.
I wish that I thought she was going to be the final girl, and she sort of was, but she kind of was. She's the one that kind of ended up beating the killer by ripping off his mask and exposing him and saving the stupid shiftless TJ who had abandoned her to, I don't know, seek his fortune elsewhere. And then comes back and is mopey because she's with somebody else.
No, I actually got to compliment her facial expressions. There were a couple of shots where the mining helmet's headlight was shining right on her.
Yeah.
And her eyes just conveyed a really, I hate to say this sounds awful. It has like this fun look of terror that would belong on any movie poster anywhere.
Well, and when I think of the scenes that were cut from the theatrical experience, a lot of them are reaction shots of her reacting to gore that just happened in front of her. And that's a shame because I think she really sells it, to your point.
She does.
Yeah. Especially the scene where their friend Howard gets hung and his head pops off gets decapitated from the noose. And the blood splurts all over her, especially that scene. I think her reactions are spot on.
Yeah. I have to give her all the compliments in the world. She carried a lot of this movie on her shoulders.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot to the movie. As we stated, the mythology. They decide to hold a party because, God damn it, you have to party.
Well, it's Valentine's Day. It's what you do in Canada.
It's what you do. You drink some Moosehead and you party. And they were literally doing all the things that they would have done in the bar anyways.
Well, you can't really, get down to business in a bar.
I suppose. Or eat hot dogs, apparently, because they were scarfing down some wieners.
That was actually... I saw that shot, and immediately I thought of that one, probably the most infamous kill in Jason X, where Jason shoves the girl face first into that vat of liquid nitrogen.
Right, yeah.
And you see the camera positioned as if it were in the vat, looking at the victim's face. That's pretty much the same shot. And when you see the damage done to, his face in this movie, it reminded me of that again. I kind of wonder whether or not Jason X didn't tip their hat.
I would think so. If it's that deliberate, I think it's probably an homage to it.
So no, I mean, I would recommend this movie to anybody who just likes, a brain dead, high suspension of disbelief, 1980s gore fest.
I certainly enjoyed it. I thought the acting was fine, especially since most of them were unknowns. I thought it had better characters than most of these have, and they tried to have like plot points like the love triangle between TJ, Sarah, and Axel, and TJ coming back to town and working for his dad's mine, and he doesn't want to.
Yeah, I mean, for every strike it has against it, it has a lot of, at least two other good things going for it.
And
just don't go into it expecting your world to be shattered. turn your brain off, grab a beer, have a good time with it.
Yeah. In watching this movie, I wondered, to get back to Silent Night, Deadly Night, if they got the idea for Billy's origin story somewhat from this, because spoilers, the killer turns out to be Axel, who as a young boy witnessed his father getting murdered by Harry Warden, who in fact was one of the supervisors that scooted out early to get to that Valentine's Day dance. And
that could very well be.
And Billy's origin is, I don't know, somewhat similar, I guess. He's a young boy that witnesses a horrific act done to him by somebody in a Santa outfit, so he becomes a deranged Santa killer. Same here. He watches a deranged killer in a minor outfit kill his dad, so he becomes a deranged killer in a minor outfit.
That wouldn't surprise me at all, actually.
So the movie ends with the mine collapsing, and you think that Axel is buried alive, just like all those miners years ago, just like Harry Warden, and all that's sticking out underneath the rubble is his arm. Turns out only his arm is buried in the rubble. The rest of him is fine, and he promptly cuts off his own arm and runs away, laughing maniacally, which is a new thing. I wish he had done that like the whole movie, just laugh maniacally like that, because that was kind of cool. And he's giggling the whole time, and he calls Sarah his Bloody Valentine and runs off, and he swears the whole fucking town is going to die. The end.
Kind of makes you wonder if he ever did get his revenge, doesn't it?
I know. Did he just bleed out somewhere? Did he just pass out like 3 steps later and bleed out? That's what I want to know. Did he forget about it? He's like, it's not worth it. Got a hook for an arm and lived his life.
Hey, I could think of worse fates.
And then you have the Ballad of Harry Warden, the song that plays over the credits.
Oh my God, I didn't listen to it.
Oh,
is that what that was?
Yeah, it's an original song for the movie. It sounds like a old folk song or something, but it's called the Ballad of Harry Warden. It was written for the movie.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a pretty good song. Very convincing. I'm like, oh, this is pretty good, actually.
Sounds like something that Peter, Paul, and Mary would have sung.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the remake, people.
Let's.
Because you can't watch the original in 3D, but you can the 2009 version.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. My Bloody Valentine, 3D, released in 2009. I heard this, I guess this is a sequel, actually, because I heard that for production reasons, like the last Halloween that came out is on the books as Halloween 11. They have to have a number after it. So
okay.
I guess this would be My Bloody Valentine 2. I guess it's a sequel. But it's actually a remake. Spoiler alert, the killer is not Axel this time. Guess who it is?
Is it TJ?
It certainly is, yeah. Ooh, twist. So the movie starts out, like 2 minutes into this movie, I said, this is so stupid. And I'm going to tell you why. But anyways, so in this version of the movie, TJ is actually on the mining, played by Jensen Ackles of Supernatural fame. TJ is not TJ. He's actually Tom in this movie. He's actually on the mining crew that gets trapped, and it's technically his fault that he didn't check the methane levels, and they get buried alive. And when they rescue the people, only one person is left alive, and that's Harry Warden. He actually killed all the other people he was trapped with to conserve air. He killed them with a pickaxe. Like, well, that's interesting. That's a nice twist.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
All right, I'm with you so far, movie.
Yep. They rescue him. He's in bad shape, though. He lapses into a coma. He stays that way for a year. He gets out of the coma, wakes up, and promptly slaughters an entire hospital, this Harry Warden. And they show everything he's done, and there's bodies ripped in half and like severed arms. I'm like, this is a regular dude that was sitting there in a nightgown. This is not a supernatural creature. This was just some dude. And he killed an entire hospital. And that's when I said, this is stupid.
Yeah.
So then it cuts back to a party in the mine shaft. And, the town's having a party there. Everybody's all CW'd up. Everyone's hot and beautiful. They're partying down. Harry Warden goes on his rampage and pretty much kills everybody. He almost kills Tom. The sheriff scares him away. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. He gets shot or whatever and runs away and is never heard from again. It turns out that Harry Warden actually died, but the minor killer is back. Axel has married Sarah. They have kids. It's a wonderful life. Blah, blah, blah. Tom comes back to town to sell the mining company because his dad died. Tom comes back to town. The minor killer comes back as well. Turns out it's Tom, who's suffering from a Tyler Durden type, mental breakdown. He doesn't even realize he's the mining killer. It's not Harry Warden because the sheriff personally shot him in a fit of vigilante justice because they go to Harry Warden's grave where they buried him in the woods. And, of course, the grave had been dug up and his costume had been stolen. And it was Tom the whole time who's just suffered from a psychotic breakdown from almost being killed by Harry Warden and causing the initial mine collapse.
Lame.
So lame. So bad. There's an extended sequence where there's a full, completely naked girl. It's so gratuitous. Like, she's running around full frontal nudity the whole time. And she's trying to escape from the guy, and it's just bad. It's just trashy all the way around. And the kills are so bad. It's that 2009 CGI. It just doesn't work at all. Really bad movie. So I would say seek out the original. As in most cases, seek out the original.
It's pretty rare for a remake to outshine the original. I can only think of a handful of occasions.
Yeah, I mean, especially, it's bad. It's no good.
Especially, I mean, if you remember during that time period that we're still kind of caught in to this day, it was very trendy to take older 1980s movies and just market them to the current generation, but not have anything original. I mean, think of the Nightmare on Elm Street, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all of those. None of them were any good.
No, and they take the movie, the franchise aspect of the movie and just ruin it by making shitty movies. Mm-hmm. And I can't figure it out for the life of me. Like, at the very worst, movies, since they cost so much money to make and time to make, and everyone allegedly is putting forth their best effort, you'd think at the very worst, they would just be okay. They would be average. But no, there's a lot of movies out there that are just plain shit, and I can't figure it out.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the money aspect, because one of the reasons why I'm able to, like I said earlier, grade the original My Bloody Valentine on a curve is because it was just an exploitation movie that was meant to turn a quick buck. So it doesn't have to perform to a certain level in order to justify its existence. When you're talking about a movie that cost $50 million, you expect to see $50 million worth of product on the screen.
Well, Jesus Christ. My Bloody Valentine 3D, its budget was $14 million. It made $100 million at the box office.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Why wasn't there a sequel to this? I can't figure that out either. That even makes less sense. Usually, if somebody sees that amount of profit, they're cashing in immediately.
I was going to say, that's why we had 25 Saw movies.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know it was that successful.
I didn't either. Oh, that's awful. That makes me sad.
Hey, you know what? Congratulations. You guys hit the, triple sevens on the slot machine with that one, I guess.
I guess, yeah, I guess it can't be too mad. Anytime a horror movie does well, I should applaud it.
Yeah? Yeah? Wow. I'm surprised it only cost 14 million. That's the thing that really kind of shocks me.
Yeah, me too, especially since it was in 3D and everything.
Yeah.
And then when you watch it in a non 3D format, because I watched it on fucking Stars, it the goofy, obvious
Yeah.
3D things are just the worst. Like, oh,
Is it as bad as Friday the 13th in 3D?
yeah, or Piranha 3D.
Yeah. Yeah. It just doesn't hold up in regular 2D.
No.
No.
Well, actually, the effect that I mentioned earlier with the pickaxe and the eye, that was one of the eyeball was supposed to be 3D. You can tell, and it just looks like garbage.
I'm so glad that trend finally died.
Yeah, that was a weird throwback to 1952.
Though oddly enough, the best movie I ever saw in theater, at least in 3D, was Jackass.
No, I don't hate that. That would be fun. If it's like a fun idea like that,
Yeah,
that would
was
be
really the
cool.
only movie that I thought used that technology in a smart way. And
Yeah.
it's fucking Jackass of all things.
Right. Yeah, I don't hate that.
No. No, you heard they're going to be doing a fourth Jackass movie, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. I saw the announcement and they said it was coming out in a year or two. I'm like, why would it take that long?
Well, because they got to stock up on Ben Gay.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, this is probably going to be the last hurrah, I would imagine,
I would hope so.
based on all.
I'm actually concerned for their safety at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, some of those guys got to be feeling it real hard.
Yeah, I mean, they got to be pushing 50.
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah,
Johnny Knoxville's got to be close.
yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah. So what's your final verdict?
If I had my critical hat on, I would say it was probably a piece of shit. But if I'm just looking at it as a fun, stupid movie to have fun with, B.
Okay. I don't hate that analysis at all. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Like I said, I thought it was better than it would have. It was better than I expected. Pleasant surprise, I guess you could say. Nothing groundbreaking, or earth shattering, but I can see why it slowly achieved more and more cult status as the years go by. It's probably better than a ton of those slasher movies that were churned out.
Oh, yeah, like Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I just got tagged on Twitter to watch.
Let's do it.
Okay. We'll do all the sleepaway camps at some point.
Summer 2020.
Yep. Sounds good. As far as My Bloody Valentine 3D, I would avoid that like the coronavirus. Just don't do it. Just stay away. Quarantine yourself. You don't need that. Hopefully you saw it when in the theaters and you're like, oh, I contributed to that.
You're part of the problem, audience.
Yes, you are. Absolutely. If you listen to our last episode, we talked about a scavenger hunt, which I think is a great idea. I challenged Tomko to find possessed body part movies, specifically hands, but not going to hate him if he finds possessed feet movies, etc., etc. We're going to have a theme episode of the best possessed hand movies. For example, Idle Hands. That's a giveaway, right?
Yes.
So we're going to find the best movies we can find, or the most, whatever. We're going to watch them, review them on the show, and we want you to contribute too. So if you have some selections or a weird possessed hand movie that you know of, tell us what it is, review it for us. We'll give you a shout out on the show. email me at someone'sfavoritemoviepodcast@gmail.com. Or if you have a movie you want us to cover, do the same thing. Would you please?
I'm dying to see what the audience brings us.
Oh, I know.
I don't know if it's going to be a treat or a challenge, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, I agree. What else is coming up? I don't know. Live stream for The Cure 4 is coming. Miserable Retail Slave, which is my Big Dumb Comedy show, and Jake and Tom Conquer the World, which is his Big Dumb Geek show, are going to be a part of it. And this esteemed program is too. We're going to help raise money for cancer research.
Yes. I have not actually done a full-fledged appearance on that just because they always picked the same weekend as Comic-Con. So I could only do like brief call-ins at best, but I'm looking forward to actually having my own slot there.
Yeah, actually, you and Jake called in the first year we did it.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, live on the floor of the Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I thoroughly embarrassed Jake on that one.
Did you?
Yes, because I was calling out bad cosplayers as they were walking by.
Yeah, and I wanted him to go interview some I wanted him to walk up to some girl that had the best cosplay and talk to her or something. That didn't work out well for me.
No, he I don't blame him. That would have been a hostile environment to do something like that. I don't blame him at all.
I don't either, but I was hoping. I really was. I was hoping he would do it. That's
You
okay.
were hoping to listen to the carnage from afar is what you were saying.
Absolutely. That's always the best kind of carnage, from afar.
Exactly. One that you can wash your hands from.
Yep. What else? We've decided Tomco's verbally committed to covering the Leprechaun movies for St. Patty's Day, so that's going to happen.
God help me. God help me.
The Leprechaun franchise, of which I've seen approximately 0 of them, so that'll be a treat.
I have seen exactly 0, but aren't there like 7 or 8 of them?
I think there's 7 of them, and appropriately enough, you can buy all 7 movies at Walmart for $7.50. So I feel that's a rousing endorsement. $1 a movie, not bad.
Oh, God damn you! Someone's favorite movie.
Yeah, right. If you've got those social medias, and I know you do, search me on that Instagram, #Miserable Retail Slave. Join our Facebook group, Miserable Retail Slave. Search it on the Facebook.com. Or if you've got that Twitter, follow me at mretailslave or Fave Podcast. Tomco.
Well, on Twitter, you can find me at The Drunken Dork. Facebook, look for our group. It's called Jake and Tom Conquer the Group. And we are on Instagram, but I haven't checked that in like 3 years. I don't even know my own login.
Oh, that's cute. I've seen you on that. You like Instagram wants me to follow you, and I'm like, why would I follow somebody with no post or one post?
I have a post on there?
I think so.
I'll be damned.
Yeah. I had something important to say. God damn it. If you like what you hear, the best thing you can do is give your bestest friend a heart-shaped candy that says, listen to this podcast. You will love it. Be mine.
More importantly, rate us on iTunes.
Oh,
It'll give us a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling in the bottom of our heart.
Go to that Apple podcast. We've got 2 reviews, and that's killing me inside. So give us more reviews, please. That would be appreciated. I know.
Is one of them from Tommy?
No, Tommy doesn't. No.
That son of a bitch.
He is a son of a bitch, even though I like his wife, or his mom. That was, yeah. Well, his wife is kind of his mom. She's very...
I was going to say, I'm sure both Mrs. Thompsons would agree.
Yeah. Tommy's a lot to handle, that man. Yeah. I'm losing all the train of thought here. Next week, we are going to cover, next time, we're going to cover a movie called Deadly Games.
Oh.
Dial Code Santa Claus.
Oh, that. You have my attention, sir.
This is, since we last time we covered the movie that's, did it inspire Groundhog Day? Listen to the episode and we'll tell you. That was 12:01 p.m.?
Yes, we definitely have opinions and thoughts on that one.
Exactly. Dial Cold Santa Claus. Did it inspire Home Alone?
Really?
We will play judge, jury, and executioner and tell you what we think. And I've already seen this movie, and I'm thinking you're going to love this movie, Tomko.
I'm looking forward to it, sir.
This was a very surprising movie for me, and I can't believe that more people don't know about it and that it was not. It's well done, I think. So we'll talk about that next time. In the meantime, we'll see you later.
See ya.